Hey everyone, this is Sergey from Axelar. Pretty excited to give you a very quick demo of what it takes to onboard a new chain with the Axelar Network. And the goal of this is really twofold. So one, we want to demonstrate you just the ease of onboarding. As you'll see through a few commands run on the Axelar decentralized network, we'll be able to make a new connection with a different ecosystem. And two, by connecting more and more of these ecosystems through the Axelar stack, we naturally get very strong compounded effects where developers can start interacting and transferring information and assets from one of these ecosystems to another without adding any more processes for them. So let's get started. So for the purpose of the demo, we're going to create a connection between an Avalanche network and the Axelar network. And the first thing that really has to happen is we need to specify a parameters configuration JSON file. Okay, that includes very basic information. For instance, how many blocks do you need to wait for in order to finalize a transaction on the chain? So because Avalanche has instant finality properties, that's pretty straightforward. So we can pick one block confirmation in this JSON file, and that's it. Once the JSON file is configured, and you need to specify a couple other parameters in there, we need to add Avalanche chain with the corresponding JSON file and submit this transaction to the Axelar network. So underneath it, all of the validators receive this message, and then they see an intent to onboard an Avalanche chain to the network itself. Now, the second phase of the process is for the validators to register an intent to become chain maintainers for Avalanche. So what that means is that they have to run a small Avalanche node and expose its RPC endpoint and point their Axelar validators to the RPC endpoint, and then run a command to register themselves as a chain maintainer that simply says that I am going to service commands or service transactions in and out of this new ecosystem. Now, once you have sufficient support from the validators, so we'll pass a certain threshold, we need to deploy a gateway to the Avalanche chain. And a gateway is simply a smart contract that can read and write information from that chain. Okay, so Axelar validators will collectively observe this gateway and see for the information that comes to it, and they'll similarly post information to the gateway in order to execute write operations on the Avalanche chain. So the first thing that happens at the gateway deployment is that we generate a key that's going to be shared across all of the validators. Okay, and you can use different schemes for this. You can use, multi-signatures or threshold crypto. The basic property that you're trying to satisfy is that no single validator can actually execute commands on this gateway. And instead, we're going to require a majority of validators to collectively authorize any decision. And only then the request is valid on the gateway itself. So once the validators register the keys and the gateway is signed with that key, we can take the corresponding payload and post it to the Avalanche chain through any wallet. And this is a one-time process. Remember, once this is done, this no longer needs to be done, and subsequently all of the validators are going to just observe the gateway and the information that arrives at it. So here we've seen the gateway is being deployed. It should be pretty quick for the transaction to go through. So here it is. The transaction is now finalized. So that's it. Now we have a gateway that has been deployed. Now the next thing that we're going to do for the purpose of this demonstration is to register a couple of custom token contracts for the Avalanche chain. And so what that means is that we'll be able to transfer these assets from other ecosystems to the Avalanche and mint them in a corresponding ERC20 representation. Okay, so this token contract is pretty straightforward. It's kind of regular ERC20 contract, and it's linked with a gateway, and it knows that specific commands can come from the gateway in order to perform like mint and burn operations and so on and so forth. So we'll deploy 3 token contracts here for Axelar token, UST, and Luna, and then subsequently we're going to sign it with the validator key and get the corresponding payload, and we're going to submit this payload to the gateway. So we're going to do a send transaction to the gateway. We're going to copy paste the signed payload. So adjust some gas fees just to cover it. And that's it. And then we just deploy it. And this is also a one-time process, right? Once a specific ERC20 or token contract has been deployed, this token can transfer across the ecosystem and be minted and burned correspondingly on the Avalanche chain. All right, so once the token contracts are deployed, the final step in this is to confirm the token contracts on the Axelar network. So this finalizes this link. This is pretty straightforward. Again, another command that we just run on the network. All of the validators approve it collectively, and the token contract is subsequently linked. So you can see token deployment confirmation result is true for all of the 3 assets that we have deployed. And that's it. From this moment on, users can take the token contract addresses, and you can find it by looking at the contracts themselves, or by querying the network, or looking through some of the documentation. And you can interact with the contract. You can link it to the MetaMask wallet or any other wallet that you're using, and be able to see the asset. So again, here just to summarize, as this part 1 is wrapping up, what we have done is really something really fundamental, right? We created a connection to a new ecosystem with very sophisticated consensus mechanism without even understanding what this consensus mechanism was, and we have done it on a decentralized network in under 7 minutes. Okay, that's really powerful. And so in this part 2, all we're going to do is to show you how subsequently token transfers can happen from Axelar Network to the Avalanche network using the previously minted ERC20 contract. The first thing that happens is that you have to register a link request from an Axelar Network to the Avalanche and specify what asset you want to transfer and what is the destination address in which you want to receive this asset. Okay, so you can see here, we registered an asset 068 and so on and so forth. And this gives you a deposit address on the Axelar network where you need to send your funds. Okay, and this address is something you can send your funds to from anywhere. Okay, from your Trust wallet, from an exchange, from Kepler wallet, or anywhere really. It's a regular deposit address where a standard transaction needs to send their tokens. And once that's done, we just need to confirm the transaction on the network. Typically, this is done either by background process or an application, like a bridging application would just execute a confirmation of the deposit when it's as it arrives. Or you can even do these things from your own wallet if you had some Axelar tokens, but usually there are processes that are automating these things, or applications that are automating these things that are built around the network. And so once that's done, what we can do is we can generate a batch of commands that needs to be posted to the Axelar network and sign this batch with the previously generated validator key. Okay. This batch could include transactions from many other chains. Okay, so from Axelar Network, from Ethereum, from Terra, all of the users that send a request at around the same time as you are will be batched and put together in the same outgoing transaction that will be submitted to the Avalanche network. So this batch is signed, and anybody can then post it on the destination chain. Okay, so if you had a bridging application, that bridging application can post it. You can even have users that post it through MetaMask if they want to cover their own transaction fees, or again, automate this process through some other mechanism. Once that batch is posted, that's it. Everybody that had a destination transaction to the Avalanche with their minted tokens, whether or not it was Axelar tokens or UST, they will all be included in the same batch, and all the users will get their assets at the same time from that batch. Okay? And then you can continue doing so. So users send the transactions, batches are generated on the network, signed, and posted on the destination chain. That's about it. Okay, so as you can see, what we really built is a very generalizable, very advanced platform where making new connections is straightforward, where deploying custom token contracts is really straightforward, and getting strong and huge networking effect from it. Okay, so that's it. Thanks so much for paying attention to this video. If you have any questions, go to our website. You can read some information there. Sign up on Discord. You can always drop us a line there. You can tag our team, and we'll take a look and help you get going and build your application or your specific use case for the cross-chain ecosystem. So super excited to work with all of you. Thanks all. Bye-bye.